If you have found yourself straining to hear people when you're in a crowded room or a restaurant, you may want to consider a hearing test. Technological advancements over the past years have turned clunky hearing aids into high-tech, nearly invisible auditory assistants. Miracle Ear is a leading company in the field, and Miracle Ear owner Benjamin Norris joins us this morning to share more. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Let's talk first about why it's important to help somebody, or why is it that you can hear, but you can't pick out the person that you want to hear? I'm probably asking it in a roundabout way, but yeah. I think people can relate to this.
I get that question a lot, and that's probably the number one challenge we have in our office when we're treating hearing loss is people complaining, I'm having trouble in a restaurant, or I'm at a family get-together, I'm having a difficult time. The biggest reason that's a challenge is we have what we call auditory nerves, and we have 20,000 of them. They're in our cochlea. And what an auditory nerve does is it wiggles and moves like my fingers when it's healthy. What happens as you develop a hearing loss is these do what we call atrophy, which means they bend, they break. Once you lose it, it doesn't regenerate, it doesn't regrow. So you get into a noisy situation with a hearing loss, even with a hearing aid, where the challenge has been for years is they're hearing all the noise, but if those auditory nerves are associated with certain sounds, like S, TH, some of those consonants, they miss some of that distinction in the speech, and it just blends together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think a hearing aid is for someone who's losing their hearing, like things are just getting softer and softer, but that might not necessarily be the case. You could still hear everything, but you're not hearing the people that you're talking to or the people that you're looking at. So this is not an uncommon thing.
No, not uncommon at all.
And I think a part of what you show people who come into your office sometimes is this great video that you sent us, and I want to air just about 45 seconds of it here. Take a look at this.
Here's what a conversation might sound like without ME Conversation Plus.
So what are Sydney and Max up to these days?
Sid and Max?
Yeah, what are they up to?
Are they in college now?
Sorry to interrupt. Can I get anyone a refill on drinks?
I think we're good.
Now let's see what it sounds like with ME Conversation Plus.
So what are Sydney and Max up to these days?
They're both in college now.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I get anyone a refill on drinks?
I'd love another iced tea.
Obviously, there's a big difference between those two examples. How is it that technology today can pick out the voice that you want to hear?
It's pretty wild. In the past, what we used in a restaurant to help someone was what's called a directional microphone,
right,
where you would push a button on the hearing aid manually, and it would shut the back microphone off so it could focus on everything right in front of you and not pick up some of the noise around you. The challenge is that conversation that you need to hear, as that waiter just walked up in that example, comes from you from behind, you're not aware of it. So today's hearing aids, compared to the past, have what I call a dual processing capability. And that's different from the past because in the past it was one processor. Now that I have a dual processor, I have one dedicated to speech and one dedicated to noise. So I can actually separate the speech versus the noise in an environment like that. And it's going to actually boost and enhance the speech for you. And at the same time, it's going to eliminate that background noise. Not to say you're not aware of it, but it's separating the two. And it's actually refreshing. Both processors refresh 1,000 times per second. So it's adapting constantly the conversation in that environment.
Yeah, when we're talking processors inside these tiny little devices, I mean, it's obvious that technology has advanced to where you can actually pick out the voice that you want to hear and not be surprised, not just shut off one area. Let's talk about how they look. A lot of people, they hear about the tech, they're like, that's amazing, that's great, that sounds good. I don't want to look like I'm wearing a hearing aid. I don't want it to be something that people notice.
Correct. Well, I've got some of these right here with me, and we've got both rechargeable options and non-rechargeable options. If you look right here, this is a teeny tiny one that goes all the way in the ear. You wouldn't even see it. It's completely invisible. So if I were to stick that in my ear, for example.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. So basically, the entire device goes in your ear and...
Yeah, so if you look at me from the side...
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
Yep.
There's zero... Show that again. Turn your other...
So I'll turn my head.
No.
So I've got that one in.
You're wearing a hearing aid.
I'm wearing a hearing aid at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, and no one would know.
No one would know. And then there's the other style, which is, something that goes behind your ear. And these are pretty discreet. We've got a lot of people that are worried about what it looks like, but everyone wears glasses today. It just looks like you got...
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't even notice that either. That's sticking right behind your ear.
Yep.
And so this does something with the bone, is that right?
It actually doesn't do anything with the bone, but you've got two microphones back here that pick up sound. And
But that is part of when I paid a visit to you a
Yes.
few months ago, and you were talking about how auditory signals can be picked up through your bones as well.
yeah, we a lot of times hear better through the bones of our skull than we do even through our ears.
Hey, look, there's me going through the process right there.
Well, and that's exactly why people have difficulty in a restaurant, because they're hearing sound through the bones of their skull. And it's drowning out some of that clarity.
Okay, so people can do exactly what I did, which is pop over to your office and go through this. Talk about how long this process takes, what it's like for somebody to come in for the first time.
The process itself to do a hearing evaluation, it really only takes about 20, 25 minutes at max. You know, on the front end of that, we're going to spend a little time talking to you about what brought you in to see us, what you're struggling with, so that we have a good idea of where we can focus on helping you. The backside of it, the cool thing is you got to experience when you came in, we actually put hearing aids in your ears so you can hear what the difference is right there in the office, so that you know exactly, hey, can we help you or not?
It was pretty astonishing. Plus, you get that readout too that shows exactly, and you could. I mean, it's different than what you might remember 10, 20 years ago. And we encourage you to check out Ben's place. Miracle Ear is the name of the business, and it's right there on Plainfield, right?
We have one right there on Plainfield,
Yeah.
but we also have several locations in West Michigan to serve you, all the way from Kalamazoo to Battle Creek to, Coldwater.
Yeah,
And-
anywhere is very
Yeah.
convenient, easy to get to, and as you heard Ben say, it's not going to take more than a half hour tops, out of your day, and what you get back could be priceless. Could be able to hear without straining and get that sense of normalcy again.
Yeah, I look at it from a perspective of we're really giving you your freedom and independence back.
That's what it is.
Putting you back in the conversation.
877-EARWAX9. That's the phone number to call, or you can go to Miracle-Ear. Don't forget that dash, miracle-ear.com. Thanks for the time, Ben.
Yep, thank you.